I'll make a motion to approve consent items 1 through 6. With second resolution number 2012 on item number 4.
What was that?
Got a motion by Nelson and a second by Wick.
Okay. Consider the consent items. There's been a motion made and second to approve all the items, 1 through 6. All those, or no, I gotta have a roll call on those, Ben.
Goodchild,
Goodchild, yes.
Knapp,
Knapp, yes.
Donlin,
Donlin, yes.
Nelson,
Nelson, yes.
Wick,
Wick, yes.
Motion carried. Okay, moving on to the action items. Under the action items, the first one is the assistant request, Northwest Real Estate LLC. Northwest Real Estate LLC is constructing a multifamily housing unit in Lamar's and is pursuing financial assistance for the portion of the costs of this project, and as such, requesting approval from the city of Lamar's to submit an application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority for funding through the Workforce Housing Tax Incentive Program. The LBIC is recommending the full local match, which is 100% exemption of taxes on new construction for the first 7 years. The financial impact is this represents a pass-through grant, and the estimated tax exemption amount of $350,000 to $229,000 over a 7-year period. Any questions regarding that?
I can add some stuff. I think Neil's on the phone also,
Yeah.
if you have questions. We've done these in the past. And the city's commitment has always been our tax exemption towards these. Some background on this one. Most recent ones have been Adam. This is Adam Brown. As well as, I believe, Gallus. Brad Gallus has applied for these also.
Mm-hmm.
This particular one is coming at this time. If you know what, this is the most recent one that is being built out there. It's getting closer to completion than it is to starting. So there's a little question in how much he may receive from this application, but he may get some. So I mean, he's still gonna submit the application. If you remember back in November 5th of 19 council meeting, I believe Adam was here the week before, the council meeting before, and then Adam was unable to be here the following council meeting, but I think his father was. We approved the 3 additional years beyond the 7 years. We had approved the 3 additional years of a tax rebate for this piece of property. The reason for it at that time, or the justification for it at that time, was because these workforce housing tax incentives weren't available. The state had stopped giving out money because it wasn't being funded. So we approved those 3 years. In that agreement, there is a clause in there that if the developer ever did apply for additional funding through a state or anything, and they received monies, it got subtracted from years 8, 9, and 10 of what the city would give him back. So Adam is aware of that. I've had that conversation with him, so he's aware of it. So anything he receives from this would get subtracted eventually from 8, 9, and 10.
Any other questions?
I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce
Yeah,
myself.
Jason, this is Clark. Is it just me, guys? Or, Jason, you were fading so bad in and out.
The microphone's about in my mouth.
You what?
I said the microphone is just about in my mouth, so I don't know.
Okay, then it must be my equipment because, but that's fine. That's fine. I caught most of it, I think. Yeah.
Do you have a
This is
question?
Neil. Clark, I would say that's true. I struggled a little bit hearing some of what Jason said also. So I don't want to speak over top of what Jason said, so if I'm redundant, I apologize. But yeah, the one piece that's a little bit different here is the fact that, as with all state projects, until you receive approval for the project from the state, you cannot start accumulating expenses that then are refunded or getting some abatement back on. So this will be a smaller award than typical because at the time that he wanted to start the project, the state had put on shelf this workforce housing tax incentive program, which was so beneficial and effective for the state that they just blew through the money. So as it's just started to open up again, they acknowledged to me that there was no drop dead date for starting an application, just a recognition of the fact that your expenses could not be accumulated until such time that the state awarded this project. So Adam is aware of the fact that it's going to be fairly much diminished from what is typical for a project because most of the costs are up front. But he, in agreement with the state, decided that it would be best to move forward with this application.
Does that answer anybody's questions in regard to this? Did you have a question on it, Clark? Clark? Hello, Clark?
Nick, I did not have a question. I was commenting that I had a hard time hearing Jason.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that you had a question or not. Okay, any other questions in regard to this? Assistant request for Northwest Real Estate? I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution number 2013, approve the Workforce Housing Tax Incentives Program application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority for the construction of a multi-family housing unit by Northwest Real,
Do we have a,
LLC.
excuse me, do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Motion been made and second to adopt resolution number 20-13 to approve the Workforce Housing Tax Incentive Program application to Iowa Economic Development Authority for the construction of a multifamily housing unit by Northwest Real Estate LLC. Can we have a roll call on that, Bev?
Donlin?
Donlin, yes.
Knapp?
Yeah.
Goodchild?
Good job, no.
Nelson?
Nelson, yes.
Wick?
Wick, yes.
Motion carried. Okay, moving on to number 2 under the action items. This is Plymouth Energy LLC request. On September 3rd, 2019, the City of Lamar has approved an addendum to the private track lease with Plymouth Energy LLC. The addendum deferred Plymouth Energy LLC $10,000 minimum monthly payment up to 9 months. The addendum was requested due to Plymouth Energy suspending operations. Plymouth Energy LLC has not restarted operations and therefore is requesting a deferment of the agreed upon payment to the city for 6 additional months. The term of the lease is 7 years, and if an additional addendum is approved, the lease would expire, the lease expiration would be April 1st of 2025. The administration is recommending council to approve the addendum to the private track lease with Plymouth Energy LLC. The financial original addendum lease had received $290,000 from Plymouth Energy LLC as a result of this lease. I entertain any questions if anybody has any. I know Neil's on the phone also. Any questions? To extend in that 6 months?
Yeah, Neil, this is Clark. So the original amount is $3,100,000, and we've received $290,000. Is that correct?
No.
No, you've got a couple different, there's two different things here, Clark.
Yeah, there's another one.
I do know that, and I'm looking at both. I'm having a little bit of trouble differentiating. Maybe you could. I mean, I know we've got action item number 2 on the table, okay, and I understand that. But these are tied together in such, so can you kind of help me with that?
Well, what is being discussed right now is an actual rail agreement between the city and Plymouth Energy. What
Right.
comes next is the request from LBIC for a continuation of the loan agreement, which is for the construction of the actual facility out there. That is where the $3.1 million comes in, and that, actually, the city has received almost $1.8 million of that loan agreement.
Okay, well, okay, thank you there. Okay, then my question on the item that we have on the table is this the one that September 3rd, we approved, we lapsed it for, I think they requested whatever, 6 or 9 months. And we said we'd give them 9 months, correct?
Right. Clark, there's 2 separate contracts here. One is with the City of Lamar's, directly with Lakeview Energy or Plymouth Energy. And that's the one we're looking at right now. And what that contract is for is the City of Lamar's owns the track from the main line into over to 27th Street. And we've been getting a cent a gallon and guaranteed so many gallons on that. And that's the one we're talking about here. The next one we'll get into, we'll certainly explain that one as to what that is.
Okay, but what I'm asking, Dick, and I understood all that.
Okay?
I understand that there's 2 separate things here, so, okay, but what I'm saying is, which one in September did they came to us and they said, hey, ethanol is having a problem, will you guys defer this for 6 months? And we did. Is that this one?
It was both of them.
We did them both, Clark, at that time. Again, on separate agreements. We approved them for 9 months on the city's agreement, and we approved them for 9 months on the LBIC agreement, both of them.
Okay.
Does that answer your question, Clark?
I believe so.
Okay.
But a continuance of that question is, at the time we discussed it 6 months ago or in September, I think the discussion centered around that we were willing to stick our necks out and agree with them and play ball with them, but that this couldn't just go on and on. Now, no one saw the current situation coming, but the city of Lamar's didn't either. So my question is, should we just give them another 6-month break on the lease? Or at what point do we say, why don't you guys pony up half of the lease agreement? Because I see the city of Lamar's being willing to take all of the blunt of these situations, and Plymouth Energy is kind of riding the storm out with our passes on these lease agreements. So there a way we can say, listen, we'll play ball with you, but we want a portion of the money. We want a portion of the money.
Neil,
That's my question.
Neil, do you want to step in and share with Clark the meeting we had with them before we go any further? Neil?
Sure, I just want to make sure everyone understands, I can't speak on behalf of the city for this first agreement, because that's not an agreement with the LBIC involved.
I
In terms
understand
of the
that.
track agreement, although it's all related. But in regards to the agreement with Plymouth Energy, certainly we've been trying to maintain this as a real partnership. We understand that Plymouth Energy continues to make investment into the facility, and certainly is researching new byproducts. Some you may have heard of, such as hand sanitizer, which is what some ethanol plants are using as side products now. Some I can't really talk about, but they certainly are investing what they can to more modernize the facility and provide more opportunities for byproducts to be sold, all in efforts to make this a profitable venture.
I can also, Clark, at that meeting, this is Dick, I can also share with you that they're not trying to not get out of this, or not trying to get out of it. They just want us to extend it on a longer period of time, so eventually, when they get back up and going again, they will pay us the full amount. That isn't their intent, not to pay us a full amount at all.
Yeah, and just understand that I understand that.
Okay.
I fully understand that. I also concur that what Neil started off with was these two are tied together, and Neil, I understand you're on the LBIC, the next one, and this is the city one. But they are tied together. That was my point, is there is a very close tie between the two. And Dick, I understand they're not trying to get out of paying.
No.
They're trying to defer because their situation has changed. However, the city of Lamar's costs continue on the fact that we borrowed that money, and our costs are continuing even in these bad times. So we're not having that income from them to help our costs, and yet they're saying to us, please defer our payments. Am I the only one is no one else tracking on what it is I'm asking?
That's correct, Clark. The city's still having to make the loan payments.
You're right. And you're right, the city's behind essentially both of them, because we got a separate contract, Clark, between the city and the LBIC also. You follow that?
Yeah, he does.
You know, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to continue for just a second and say, Neil, I understand. I fully understand that they're exploring other ways to make money in this bad situation. And great. And as the city or representative, I say we do play ball with them. I'm just merely saying, why can't they play ball with us and say, hey, we'll make half payments during these rough times, rather than a complete and utter shut-off of the payments? Because I see the taxpayers of Lamar's taking on the responsibility of ongoing payments while not receiving the income that we were supposed to get. I also admit that circumstances have arisen that changed their predicament, but it didn't change the city of Lamar's as being hung on the bill.
You're right, Clark. I can see your point on it. The thing of it is, as far as playing ball, I just want to share with you also that one of the things that we did some checking on is to make sure, and I should let Neil talk about this because it was the taxes on that, to make sure the taxes was paid on the ground out there. And so in our original meeting, we brought this up, and they said, by all means, it will be paid. And Jacob, our chief financial officer here, did check on it, and the taxes are paid and up to date. So they are, they're trying to play ball, Clark. I just bring this up as a point, of your question. And so
You
they,
bet. And I don't want to come off like I don't understand that they are trying to play ball. I just feel
Yeah.
like we did this 6 or 8 months ago. We're being asked to go another 6 to 8 months. When do we say, wait a minute, we need them too? Okay, because I think after this whole situation we're in, we're going to find ourselves as in debt as all the rest, and so we need to be watching our bottom line. I am totally willing to play ball with these guys.
Okay.
But at what point do we say, wait a minute, you need to pony up a little bit too? That's the question, okay?
yep,
I would make a comment that Nelson speaking. The track usage out there is important to the whole operation of our rail system. And those tracks that hold the tanks or would have held the tanks are still being used. We're getting value out of that, Clark. It gives them the ability to switch the cars around and get other loads off. So it's not like we're abandoning it, we're still using it.
Right, and Kenny, and I do appreciate that, but let me ask the council a question. And you can choose not to answer it, I guess. But the question is in 6 months, if this situation hasn't changed and they come back again, what is our answer going to continue to be? And I mean, at what point do we say, wait a minute? Because I'm willing to vote yes on the next 2 items, okay? But I think at some point in time, we have to say, wait a minute. We can only kick this can down the road just so far.
comments?
Clark. You can, I'll let it be that.
I have one comment to add and sort of answer what Clark's asking us. When I see a recommendation recommending approval from the administration for getting in this case, 10,000 times 6, 60,000 deferred, we'll get it later. And then on the next one, it's a bigger one, over 250,000 deferred. I wouldn't see a recommendation of approval from